came home late. I had to work late that night. I got home between 10 and 10:30, and there was some fire across the freeway. They'd been fighting it all afternoon, but I hadn't watched TV or anything. And my wife was sound asleep when I got home, and the neighborhood was really quiet. I didn't really know um, if we needed to worry about anything. There wasn't any. I didn't see any activity or anybody worried. So, and at first I could see a red glow over here in the sky, but it seemed far away. And so I went ahead and went to bed, and about 2:30 in the morning, we heard the cop sirens blasting and saying, mandatory evacuation, get out now. Many police cruisers going up and down through the neighborhood, and which is very unsettling. And between slightly panicking or being worried about just getting out in time and being all groggy from being waked up in the middle of the night and being in denial that something was actually going to happen, something bad was going to happen, we just kind of grabbed our dogs and not very much more. We didn't, I say, I think it was as much denial as anything, that we didn't really seriously consider the idea that our house would burn down. My name is Glenn Morgan. I lived in this house here in Malibu Lake for about 12 years before the fire came. The next morning I was having breakfast at a restaurant near where I was working in Glendale, and I saw an aerial picture of this area completely engulfed in smoke, and you couldn't see anything. You could just tell everything was smoky, and I had a really bad feeling at that point, and then I didn't really uh, hear anything the rest of the day. And about 6 o'clock I got a text from my next door neighbor, just said sorry, with a picture of the house gone. There's some other people posting online about what had gone on, so I kind of had a sense of what was going on and what happened in the neighborhood. Otherwise I probably would have had to walk in the next day and walk all the way and walk up the street, seeing like half the houses gone and hoping against hope that my house would be here, and I just would have been horribly crushed emotionally to come up the top of the hill and see it gone. It was much easier to do it in a picture. It was a really cute little mountain cabin. It was like all pine walls. It was really charming and cute and very small, intimate, but like I say, it was for the only place that I've lived that I really felt like I didn't want to lose, and want to live here for the rest of my life, probably. You're standing was the entrance to the porch to the front door, and it's a very small house, about 1,100 square feet. We had upstairs here with our living room and the fireplace, and then a couple of bedrooms that way. Our kitchen was right here. You can still see the metal trash cans, and you can see the remains of the refrigerator and the dishwasher and some of that stuff down here. Our washer dryer was downstairs. You can still see that line there. It's kind of strange. Everything is basically caved in to the lower floor. Our dining room table, top of that was metal, and that's sitting here. It's just odd that the occasional metal thing survived and everything else is gone. That's actually a really weird thing when I think about it. Just think about everything burning in this inferno and melting or going up in smoke and just kind of disappearing. This is just, it's stuff and it's memories and it's inconvenience and it's money, but compared to losing a loved one, it's nothing. And like I mentioned, that campfire up in Paradise, so much worse, so much more devastation. And So many lives lost and everything. There was a couple of lives lost here, but just so much more devastating up there. So you feel almost guilty for feeling bad for yourself when you see other people who are so much worse off. And we've got we've got insurance, we've got support, we've got all these things, and a lot of people who go through this thing don't have much of any of that. Because of all the permits you got to get, all the process you have to go through, and the fact that so many people, so many hundreds of people are doing the same thing, all the resources are going to be spread pretty thin, and all the contractors are going to be busy, and all that kind of stuff. So if we're back in within 2 years from the fire, I think we'll be happy. I think that's realistic. Now, I also heard from people in Ventura County. They had a big fire there last year, the Thomas Fire, and I heard somebody say that right after the fire, like 90% of the people were going to rebuild, and then a year later it was down to maybe 70% because people had gotten discouraged and for whatever reason, realized they maybe couldn't do it. The other thing is, if we don't rebuild now while there's a sort of sympathetic atmosphere for rebuilding and they're going to waive a bunch of permits and do a lot of that kind of stuff, it would be much more difficult and expensive to do it later. It really does feel like a community, and even more so after the fire. The neighborhood has been incredibly supportive, and there has always been a little dichotomy between, I don't know if you noticed, there's gates and stuff when you come through Malibu Lake. There's like about half the area is part of that mountain club that they own the land and they're part of that thing and they pay dues and stuff. And they have access to the lake. And then the other half, we just live in the hills. We're just the hillbillies. And there's always been this kind of dichotomy between the people at the lake and the people in the hills. And that certainly got completely erased too, I think, after the fire. I think about 30 families in each area lost their homes. So the fire did not discriminate. Yeah, if anything, it's just, kind of brought everybody together more and feel more of that community spirit.